Agenda item 1. Consideration approval of minutes from the regular board meeting held on April 13th, 2026. Hearing none. Have we gotten online? Okay, Mr. Bush is calling in. So I was just making sure. And she's running late. Approval of items. We will be discussing and approving in our regular meeting. Do we have any questions or concern about consideration recommendation for employment of personnel? Item 2. Item 3. Consideration of recommendation for release of personnel. You want? So, okay, I just want to make sure. Now, we're going to ask them to say it. Number 4, consideration recommendation to approve proposed award for Rating Springs Middle School flooring replacement. Okay. Item 5, consideration and recommendation to approve the installation of the lighting system at Monroe Comprehensive High School. Item 6, consideration and recommendations to approve fundraising requests.
Madam Chair, can you back up just a minute?
Yes.
It says at Monroe, but isn't that for all 3 high schools? Look like I saw that.
Yes.
Mr. Superintendent, can you answer?
Yes, because I can see the lighting system is going to be installed at all 3 high schools,
Right.
but as part of the construction project at Dougherty and Westover.
Okay.
So that ongoing construction projects will be included in those construction projects. Since one road is not under construction, we are adding that to it. That's why it comes as a separate item to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to item 6, consideration and recommendation to approve fundraising request. Mr. Superintendent, I know there was a question about the accountability. If you would share that information to answer
Yes, ma'am.
that.
We have a board member who's concerned about the process for the turning in the funds and that we can cash. And for this particular fundraiser, you refer to the mini chip app, right?
Yes, sir.
For the funds to turn in to the assistant coach, the assistant coach turns it into the office manager, bookkeeper. They turn in the payment for the registration and the registration form. So if you turn in 5 registration forms, you need to have $250. So that's the check and balance. And then once they compile a list of all the people that are registered, and they use that list for the people who come and show up that day. So if someone was able to take registration, not turn it in, the person showed up for the count, they wouldn't be on the list, and that's another check and balance. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Superintendent, financial report.
Yes, ma'am.
As you look at the, thanks for that. As you look at the finance report, you'll see that we're still projected to end this school year with a projected reserve of slightly under $33 million. And there was some question, and the board members asked me to provide clarity on the questions regarding some news coverage that suggested that we overspending had some structural issues. I did address that in a letter to the editor, but to be specific, you will recall this board made a conscious decision to do 2 things. One, when the state passed to purchase high quality instructional materials for elementary ELA as part of the 2023 Literacy Act.
Right.
It was
that subcommittee had to address that.
Yes, ma'am. It was a mandate, but it was not funded.
Yes.
And so it was several $1 million. There was a several $1 million acquisition, and the board had the option to take from reserves or make cuts in the operating budget to make up for the millions of dollars that were spent to be spent on the high quality instruction materials. And because the reserves are healthy, the board made a decision to take that one-time purchase out of reserves, which is what reserves are one of the reasons reserves are there. That was one strategic use of reserves that was referenced. The other, as you recall more recently, as part of the amended FY26 budget, the governor recommended and the state legislature approved a $2,000 supplement for select employees, teachers, bus drivers, school nutrition workers, and custodians. It did not include all employees of public schools. This board made a conscious decision as part of its strategic plan investment in human capital to extend that $2,000 supplement to all employees, not just the ones who were funded by the state. Again, that was a decision that was consciously made, and that was a cost of about $1.5 million, and that was also taken out of reserves. Again, a one-time expenditure. So those were the two strategic decisions the board made intentionally to take funds out of reserves, those one-time expenditures out of reserves, to first to fund the mandate on high-quality instructional materials from the state that was provided. No funding was provided, for which no funding was provided. And then the second was to extend the $2,000 supplement to all full-time employees of the Dougherty County School System. And I'd like to say, in addition, prorated supplements to part-time employees and substitutes. I think that clarify for you?
Clarify your question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, a question for the superintendent, just for clarity on my part. The breakdown for the incentive, the 2,000 incentive for subs, I know, well, can you explain that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We looked at, and we've used the same criteria we used when we provided supplements during the COVID pandemic. All full-time employees received the $2,000 supplement. Long-term substitutes received the supplement, $2,000 supplement. Part-time employees received a prorated supplement. The subs, if they work more than 60 days as of February 1st, I think it was, then they received was it Ms. Hatcher, 1,000? $500 supplement.
Okay, more than 60.
At least 60 days.
Okay.
If they did not work at least 60 days, then they did not get, no, not consecutive. If a substitute,
Right.
any substitute that worked for at least 60 days, served for at least 60 days from the beginning of the school year to February 1st, they received a $500 supplement.
Okay.
Right, yes.
Hold up, Ms. Hand. Hold up, Dr. Hand.
Okay, because I had someone to call me and they say, well, I know I worked more than 60 days. But, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, if they want to give it the name, I'll be glad to look at it. But we look at the payroll, and
Right.
they got paid. Anybody that got paid, worked and got paid for 60 days or more,
Okay.
they got the $500 supplement. Now, we're human, and could we have missed one? Possibly. But they checked and double checked.
Okay. I'll share
Yes, ma'am.
with
Share the
you.
name. We'll be
Okay.
glad to look at that. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
You finished?
Madam Chairman.
Doctor. Okay, hold just a second, Mr. Bush, Pastor Bush. Dr. Hand has his hand holding. I'll come back to you in a few seconds.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Hand.
But now, 45 days, that's considered a long-term sub unless they are not, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I know you.
The 45 days,
Long-term sub.
consecutive days.
Consecutive days.
Yes, consecutive days.
So they will receive
Long-term subs received.
long-term subs, because what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, what I'm hearing is that based on the principal will, of course, they don't have to agree for this person to be a long-term sub, if they were, had worked 45 days. Is that still?
I don't know. I don't.
When,
If a person works at the number of days required to be long-term sub, consecutive days in the same position. So if we had a teacher out on maternity leave, and there's one person worked for that and substitute for that teacher at that school the entire time, those consecutive days, then they're considered long-term subs automatically.
automatic.
Yes.
That's why I was, when Ms. Heath was asking that question, I know once upon a time, so it has changed, because 45 days, it was the principal who decided if that person should be a long-term sub.
if they work 4 to 5 days, they work the number of days, they're long-term subs. But what she was talking about was subs in general. And the threshold for substitutes was to get the incentive was 60 days. It doesn't have to be consecutive days. If you work, you can work 10 days at one school, 5 days at another school, 20 days at one school. If you work the total of 60 days as a substitute, then you qualify for the incentive. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Superintendent, for finance report?
I mean, Reverend Bush had a question.
Oh, Pastor Bush. I'm marking out.
Yeah. Madam Chairman, to the board, I just want to commend the superintendent and the finance fiscal affairs personnel, Ms. Hatcher, and the staff for doing an outstanding job, including, I want to commend the committee, the finance committee, and the Board of Education. I think that we do not talk about this enough. I remember when people couldn't make ends meet, and Mr. Dye reported today that we have $33 million in reserve, and all of those things that we have done our best and stewardship have paid off to support employees totally. And I just want to commend the board and the entire staff of Mr. Dyes for doing a job well done. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I run a little business, and I try very hard to mind my little money that comes in. And they have just done a good job, including, we can't test people and tell them that they can't come to school. We have to take everybody, and we try to do our best. And I just thank all of y'all from the bottom of my heart for doing a good job with what we have. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Pastor Bush. Appreciate it again. If you didn't get all that, Ms. Hatchett, we appreciate you and your staff. Any other questions for financial report to Mr. Superintendent?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I do have one. Can you, Mr. Superintendent, will you please provide some clarification on capital projects?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, related to the article there. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was a just a unintentional misrepresentation of the way capital projects, construction projects run. The article spoke to the current year revenue versus the current year expenditures. As you know, we have SPLOST money revenue that comes in over the years, and we accumulate SPLOST money. And this board approved 2 projects, one at Westover, the Phase 2 renovation at Westover, which includes the Health PE complex, the new academic tower, and renovating most of the existing building. And then the Phase 3 at Dougherty, which is the Health PE complex that was not included in that Phase 2. Those projects are going to run combined, over $70 million. And knowing that our revenue from SPLOST comes in at $20 million a year, there's no way that the revenue over 1 year is going to fund both of those projects.
Right.
So the board has money in reserve for those designated for those capital projects, and the board entered into contract with program manager, construction company, an architect to deliver those projects. And in addition, that the board authorized the sale of bonds based on the voter referendum that was passed in 2024. And so those funds are available for capital projects, particularly these construction projects. And so it's not an overspend. What it is drawing down funds that were already reserved and set aside for these particular projects.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And Madam Chair asked me she was a little, she serves on the on the Building and Grounds Committee. And she reminded me of two particular things that we did, that the board did, that helped save money. Some of you were on the board in 2019 when we had a construction project at Sherwood, the GNITS project, in 2019, and it was the stated cost limitation or the budget for the construction was about 6.7, just say $7 million. And the architect designed it, and the bids came back, and the lowest bid was 10.3 million. And there was some discussion that architect wanted us to move forward with that project with the added cost, saying that's what was required. Looking at cost per square foot on a typical building like that, and some other things, asking me to interview the other contractors who initially expressed interest in the building and who ended up not submitting the bid for the building, and other things. The board decided that we felt we still could build the building for the $7 million, and that we would not move forward with the $10.3 million design, particularly when the budget for it was $7 million. And so after back and forth with that contractor, with the architect, the board terminated the agreement in accordance with because he refused to redesign the building at no additional cost. And so we went with another architect, went through a construction management firm who got the bid, and had the building built for $6.5 million, $6.6 million. And so that in and of itself saved taxpayers $3.7 million from what it could have been. And so that's one item that Chair reminded me of, and because she takes her job on the Building and Grounds Committee just as seriously as Reverend Bush takes it on the Finance Committee. You know, his mantra is, "I'm never going to vote to raise taxes," and she's never going to vote for a cost overrun in a construction project. And then the other piece, again, talking to board members, committee members on Finance and Building and Grounds, as you know, I mentioned earlier that the referendum was passed in 2024. And there was some pressure to go ahead and get the bond sold. But again, speaking with board members on both the Finance Committee and the Building and Grounds Committee, they asked me to do a projected cash flow because Reverend Bush felt that the interest rates would probably go down from 2025 January over the next year. And so we did wait, and we decided to go out with bonds in this past January. And we realized savings of over $2 million. One, because the interest rates did go down as we projected. And second, because we sold the bonds a year later, we saved a year worth of capitalized interest. And so, again, the $3.7 million or so that we saved in the project in 2019 and the wise decision after consultation with the board of the committee members of the board to delay the selling of the bonds into January 2026 versus January 2025 with another almost $2 million in savings. So I think that really gives a powerful statement regarding the financial stewardship of the board, and they take their responsibility very seriously. And we may not see a lot of back and forth in a board meeting because some people think that that's is good governance. We've had that before, and sometimes it's good. And I do know healthy debate is always good, and when it's needed. And I have never seen this board shy away from challenging each other or challenging me on what we think is best for kids. Now, we all have the same end goal in mind, doing what's best for kids. We sometimes have different ideas about the best way to get there, and I think that's the best way to have debate. That's the best type of debate, because we're all debating on what's best for kids, and we don't look at the Building and Grounds Committee or the Finance Committee in that way. But that money that we saved can now be reinvested in classrooms to impact student learning. So thank you for that question, Ms. Gaines Heath, and Madam Chair. Thank you for asking me to share those two things that she remembered off the top of her head, how the committee made some decisions that impacted positively impacted our school system. And that's just one of many, or two of many, rather.
2 a minute. Okay. Any other questions, Superintendent, about the finance report? Any committee reports? Okay, Mr. Superintendent, are you ready for your report?
I am, and we'll start with Dr. Finley, who's going to do a brief overview of some of the major policy issues, initiatives. You know, we have a policy revision process going, and we're in the home stretch, and so he's going to present items from policy section G, and I think that's it, G, is that right? Just G. G and H, G and H, G and H.
Good
And
morning.
for those in the audience, we usually have those showing on the screen. We're having some technical difficulty. They will be on our website, okay?
Good morning.
Morning.
Esteemed Board of Education, Superintendent Mr. Dyer, district and school leadership, staff, parents, families, students. It's an honor to come before you today to provide an update related to our policy revision process. First and foremost, I want to take the time to thank the team. Ms. Addison and her team have worked very hard, collaborating with staff and getting feedback related to this particular process. This is not a one-person or a two-person process. We want to make sure that we collaborate with the people who are closest to the work to be able to inform our policy updates. So with that being said, I always want to make sure we lift our people and acknowledge the hard work that they do. So I wanted to start with that. So process, I want to revisit the process. Our process is we are collaborating with GSBA with this policy revision process. They provided us with their recommendations from their review of our policies. So when we receive those policies, we review them as recommendations. But also, it's important that we review our own policies. And we review those with the understanding that they are recommendations. But it's important, as I mentioned earlier, for us to go back to the people closest to the work to help inform how we update our policies for procedures here in the district. After our team has collaborated, they submit those recommendations to me. We do a review internally, get feedback, have question and answer sessions, and then we submit those to Mr. Dyer for his review. And from there, we come and we respectfully submit them to you for your consideration for first read, second read, and then if you agree, adoption, consideration for adoption. So moving right along, we're going to connect to the folder that I provided to you. I always put in a table of contents just so you can, hopefully it's easy for you to follow. I also number each document so that you can follow. The first document in that table of contents is the GSBA recommendation chart. So I always provide their materials to you without us touching it. So I want you to see exactly what their recommendations are, and I want you to see their manual without any edits from us, so you have a clear understanding of what they provided to us. So number one is their chart with their recommendations and their rationale. And number two in this folder is the actual GSBA manual with the policy recommendations for your review. At the bottom of the table of contents, I did insert just to remind you what the colors mean within the document. So you can see that if it's red, they're recommending that we abolish that policy. If it's green, that's new language that they're recommending for us. And if it doesn't have any color, it can mean a couple of things that I put at the bottom of the page. It could mean it's a new policy if the word pending is beside the adoption area at the top. If it's alternate language, it's not going to have a color, but it will have alternate language at the top. You will see it at the top. And it could mean that there's no change. We retain our regular policy, our DCSS policy. Number 3 in the folder is a combined chart. So, and you've had a chance to see this, how this is organized previously when I've come before you. I put GSBA's recommendations on the left with their rationale. So the first column is GSBA's recommendations, which aligns with their chart in the first document. Column 2 is their rationale, which aligns to their chart with the first document. I just put it in our chart so that we can see the comparison. And to the right, you'll see DCSS recommendation. That's the third column. And then the fourth, you will see DCSS rationale. So you can see a through line around like what GSBA recommended. And then when you go to the third column, you can see what DCSS recommended. Sometimes it aligns, sometimes it does not. So I wanted to ensure that I explained that particular chart as well. Document 4 in your folder is the GSBA manual with DCSS edits. So you will see in that document, at the top, I put what DCSS is recommending. So you'll see it at the top in green on each policy, and it aligns with the chart that you have in front of you on the combined document. So to walk back through that just very quickly, the first and second document are GSBA documents along with no adjustments is what we received from them. Number 3 and number 4, 3 is a combined chart with their recommendations and our recommendations on the same page and rationale. And number 4 is the GSBA manual with our DCSS edits on it. So you can go through and you can see what we're recommending. Any questions so far with the materials that are in front?
Just for the public and the people that are in the audience, can you give us, because you know we have the world acronyms for everything, to say what GSBA is?
Yep, Georgia School Board Association. Thank you for that. Any other questions around the organization of the folder? All right. With that being said, I will say that you will receive policy briefs. Your folder was too thick today for me to put a whole nother pile in there. You have a section G and H are thick in both of the manuals, the GSBA one and then DCSS with the edits. There's a lot of pages in your folder. You'll receive it today via email with all these documents as well. Just letting you know that that's coming. We respect your times. We want to make it as seamless as possible for you to review. I'm gonna review just a few of the highlights. There are a lot of policies in section G, only 2 in section H, but there are over 50 in section G. So some of the updates, I will start with our GAA. It's the first policy, equal opportunity employment. So GSBA, they provided revised language for this particular policy. This policy speaks to discrimination, harassment, and it provides a process to follow if somebody feel like they have been harassed or discriminated against, as it relates to, and it covers, Title 6, Title 9, 504, ADA, et cetera. So they provided updated language, which we agree is well needed with our policies. The next policy I'm gonna connect to is GAE. So this is a new policy that GSBA is recommending. GAE is the 4th policy, complaints and grievances.
Can you tell us what page, can you tell us what page that one is? So we won't have to keep flipping. How far? Okay. I haven't gotten that.
What policy reference is that?
This is GAE, complaints and grievances.
That's on 16.
Yep.
It's on the table of contents.
So if you use the GSBA manual, the number 2 document, you'll be able to follow with the table of contents. So that's page 16. And this is a new policy, and I'm going to share policies that we agree about and policies that we don't agree about. The GAE policy they're recommending, their recommendation is for us to consider adopting this policy in the place of our GAE1 policy, which speaks to Title IX, our GAE2 policy, which speaks to grievances and complaints for certified staff, and our GAE3 policy, which speaks for grievances and complaints for non-certified staff. So they want this one policy to take the place of the three GAE policies. We don't agree with that. The policy that they have in GAE speaks to certified staff only, and certified and non-certified have different processes as it relates to grievances and complaints. So we decided we're recommending that we keep GAE 2 for certified grievances and complaints, our current policy with revisions, and we retain GAE 3 for complaints and grievances with our non-certified staff for that reason. The GAE 1, which speaks to Title IX, their GAE version from GSBA does not go into great detail with the grievance procedures with Title IX. We are recommending we have a sexual harassment policy, JEB, and they provided updated language, which is very detailed and speaks to the roles for Title IX in the process in great detail. So our recommendation is to accept the GAEB, sexual harassment, updated language from GSBA, and retain our GAE2 for certified grievances and complaints, and retain our GAE3 for non-certified grievances and complaints. I say all that to say we reject. We don't want to accept the GAE new policy from Georgia School Board Association. All right. The next policy I'll speak to, if there are any questions, I'll take those. But if not, I will keep moving.
Dr. Finley,
Yes.
And we have a question.
I'm sorry, clarity. Are we gonna keep GAE 1, discrimination complaints?
No, our recommendation is to abolish.
So we're gonna abolish that one?
Yes, and the rationale behind that is GAE B, sexual harassment of employees. They provide updated language, and it covers Title IX in detail, roles, and it's a stronger process, a stronger policy. So recommendations.
So it's replacing GAE 1.
I'm sorry.
It's going to replace GAE 1.
That language will be found.
Right.
And yeah,
Right.
because we've had the sexual harassment policy. That's not a new policy. It's just updated language, which is more detailed and stronger. Yeah. All right. The next policy I want to connect to is GAG, which is staff conflict of interest. This is a policy, and I want to speak to position, right? GSBA's position is if it's covered in state law, federal law, then their position is we don't need it as policy because it's law. DCSS position, your division of Mr. Dyer, of course, is we want to ensure that we're transparent with our community. So we don't want our community to have to go and search all over the place for information. That's important. So you'll see that that's the difference in position, which sometimes caused us to disagree with their recommendation. So this is an example. The next couple are examples of that. Their recommendation, GSBA, is to abolish the staff conflict of interest policy, and we don't agree with that. So our recommendation is to retain our DCSS policy with revisions. Of course, we'll go and ensure that it's updated and polished, but our recommendation is to retain that particular policy. And the same thing with GAHB, which is staff political activities. Their recommendation is to abolish that policy, and our recommendation is to retain that policy. We want to ensure that we have language in our policies that provide guidance for these particular things that come up, in a district. The next one, gifts to staff, GAJB. That's the same perspective. Their recommendation is to abolish. Our recommendation is to retain. We don't want our team, our staff, our community to have to go search for information about staff conflict of interest, about staff political activities, gifts to staff. The next one is related to leave. So there's a new policy, it's GARH, and it's called Employee Leaves and Absences. So this is a policy that we would recommend accepting. It's to combine, have one policy with all of the different leaves included in that policy. Still have sections within the policy. So for example, you have your sick leave, you have your professional leave, your personal leave, your military leave. You have a number of different leaves, and we have different policies for each one. So their recommendation is to have one leave policy with all of those within that policy. So it's a combined policy. You can go to one policy and see all of the leave information. So felt like that's sufficient, and you don't have to search. You can go to that policy and find whatever you need related to the leave. The next one is GARHB. This is a new policy as well. This is for paid parental leave. This is a new policy that's recommended, but it's not a new practice in our district. DCSS does provide paid parental leave, but this is a recommended policy for that. So it'll be new to the district. And the last one that I will speak to is GBIA, which is a new policy recommendation from GSBA, and it speaks to teacher evaluation appeals. So their recommendation is to have this policy replace our GBI, professional personnel evaluation policy. And this policy speaks more so to the appeal process within this particular policy. So those are some highlights within Section G. I won't go through them all because I don't want to take up too much time, but those are some highlights within this particular section. Section H, we only have two policies in Section H, which is our negotiations section. And with those two policies, they're recommending abolishing. The first one is HA, personnel negotiations, which collective bargaining is, in our state, is against the law. And the next one speaks to professional personnel job actions, which is like striking and walkouts and things of that nature. So with that being said, let me make sure I covered everything on my agenda. I'll ask, are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Dr. Finley? Seems like, I'm looking at you, Dr. Hand, we got a lot of reading we have to do for the next couple of weeks, but we'll get through it.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, well, we plan on referring these recommendations to the Personnel Committee prior to the next board meeting. And then usually at the second reading, then that's when the policies are adopted. So it's slated for adoption at our first board meeting in May. Of course, that is up to the discretion of the board. If you're not comfortable with those yet, want some more time, you can certainly delay that to a later board meeting. But the process that we have now is that that we will refer these to the Personnel Committee for additional vetting. And then it will come as a recommendation from the Staff and Personnel Committee regarding the adoption of the policies that are presented. Yes, ma'am. And they could be exactly as presented. They could be revised as to as presented. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Ms. Strouter.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for all your work on this. I know it's amazing. And I'm so excited about the outcome because I think it's going to be a lot more simplified. But just as I'm looking through this, just so I'm sure I'm understanding correctly. For example, whoops, on page 37, this is the GSBA, like recommendations to abolish it, but we have decided that for our district, we would like to keep it. And so that's why up here it says retain with revisions.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I got the key correct. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to make sure when you got to the page, you know, you may see red, but it's nothing at the top to tell you what we're recommending to do, so you can see it on that page when you get there in real time.
Any other questions? Ms.
I don't mean to prolong the time, but I do have a question. I'm an avid sports fan. And so on page 64, policy GBBA, professional personnel qualifications and duties for coaches. This is being abolished.
That's the recommendation of GSBA and from the team, our team. That doesn't mean it won't change after we continue to review, but right now that's the recommendation.
Okay, and what would replace it?
It could live in a reference manual. Like just because language goes away doesn't mean that how we move with it goes away. It can be in the procedures manual, if need be. Those are questions I asked the team, like if you're recommending to abolish, then where would this information live? How will people have access to it? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Any other board members have any questions? Like always, Dr. Finley is open to sit down if you would like to. Thank you again for what you do. I know we've been up and asked questions. So always you can go up, ask him your questions. If you're not clear with something, he certainly is quick on the draw and call right back. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finley. Please share with your team. I know this has not been easy, but thank you for doing all our pilot, reviewing them. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Again, thank you, Dr. Finley. I appreciate this is very detailed work. And, yeah, he's up here, he gets in that office and he's going through line by line and questioning and pushing back. And it's tedious work, but it's important work. But this is what guides us. We're driven by our policies. We've got to buy our policies. So, this is a great opportunity to and as a charter system, we, have broad exemption from Title 20 of state law, and so our policies have to be airtight since we have that exemption. So thank you again, Dr. Finley, for that. Madam Chair, if I could ask for a moment of latitude, we do have a representative from Webster here. She was going to make a presentation. We told her the 12 o'clock board meeting, we failed to tell her about the 11:30 briefing. So can we ask her to come up and make a presentation in the middle of this, and I can go back to my report, because I don't want her to have to stay here through the entire meeting just to share this news with us.
Well, welcome. Thank you. And now acknowledge your restaurant and your name again.
So my name is Jay Houston, and I am the Recruitment and Community Relations Manager at Webstront here in Albany, Georgia. Is everybody here familiar with Webstront? A lot of people are not. So for those of you who are not familiar with Webstront, Webstront is the third largest industry employer here in Albany, Georgia. We employ more than 500 people here in Southwest Georgia. We pay a living wage. Our living wage does not require any kind of college education or previous experience. We hire based on 3 qualities, and they are how hungry our candidates are, how humble they are, and how smart they are. And when we say smart, we mean people smart. When we say humble, we don't mean that they can't acknowledge their strengths. We mean they're not too proud to ask for help and they're not too proud to help someone else. When we say hungry, we don't mean physical hunger. We mean their desire to grow. And so those are some traits that we're looking for when we employ our team members. And so I started at Webstront in October of this year as their recruitment manager. And when I came into Webstront, full transparency, last year, Webstront in Albany, Georgia, had a turnover rate of 52%. We lost 235 team members already through the year when I came in October. And so I knew that we had to do some pivoting. We had to do some different recruitment strategies. There had to be something different that we needed to do. And I know some of you from my previous role before I worked at Webstront, I was the Director of Talent Initiatives for the Albany Area Chamber of Commerce. And so through that position, I fell in love with the Dougherty County school system, and I knew that the Dougherty County school system was doing a phenomenal job preparing students for the future. And so the first partnership that I built when I came to Webstront was with the Dougherty County school system. And just a little bit more information about Webstront. Webstront is a national company. We have 16 locations across the United States. We employ thousands of people, and Albany's Webstront is called 872, and 872 is the first Webstront to establish a work-based learning program similar to ours. But I knew that we had to do something to get Dougherty County school system students from Dougherty County school system into Webstront, because I knew that these were the students that we needed. And so I talked with the CTAE director here in the Dougherty County school system, and we came up with a plan to get these students into our program. We wanted it to be beneficial to the students, and we wanted it to be beneficial to Webstront. So our goal, full transparency, was to bring these work-based learning students in, and once they graduate, retain them. That was what we wanted to do. So the way that we did that was we had the Dougherty County school system establish a list of students who were saying that they wanted to go into the workforce, or that they were going to stay local, or that they were unsure about their plans after graduation. And so we had 25 students that applied for this position. For those 25 students, we employed 13 of them. And since January of this year, so since the second semester of their senior year to now, what we have had is 13 incredible Dougherty County school system students. And I wanted, yes, they are definitely worth a round of applause, because these students are coming in every day. You know, they wake up, they go to school, and then they come into Webstront and they work the second half of our first shift. So they come in at 1:30 and they leave at 5:30. So essentially they join our team after their lunch break. So on our first shift, they come in and they are not doing light work. They're not doing easy work. They're not doing work that is mindless. They are doing work that is very strategic, work that is very intentional, work that is very goal-focused, and they hit the goals. They hit them just like the people who have been there for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And so consistently the feedback, not just from their management, but from their teammates that are adjacent to them, they have said, I thought we were going to be babysitting these kids, but they're working. And they are. You can go back into the roles and watch what they're doing. And if you didn't know that they were students, you wouldn't know that they were students, because they've done a phenomenal job. So of the 13 students that we've had, a couple of them have made some separate career plans now that they've they're finishing out their senior year. So some of them have decided, I am going to go to college, or maybe I'm going to join the military. But we are retaining 6 of these students full time. So I'm very excited about these students. So I wanted to share with you guys, I know your projector is broken, so I've got it here on my phone. And we have Vincent Hill from Dougherty Comprehensive High School, Marquez Favors from Dougherty Comprehensive High School, Uriah Jackson from Dougherty Comprehensive High School, Shermiah Ford from Westover Comprehensive High School and Forsey Academy, Alacia Ford from Dougherty Comprehensive High School, and Sasha Mathis from Monroe Comprehensive High School. These young people will be offered full-time positions at Webstront. They'll be making, on our first shift, if they choose to stay on our first shift, which they will have a choice, If they choose to remain on our first shift, they'll make $17 an hour with the option of overtime. Typically, people on our first shift at our entry-level position, they make about $40,000 a year when you combine that overtime. Because they have already been employed with us since January, on their day that they accept their job offer, they will automatically receive their 4 weeks of PTO. They will receive 8 emergency days, full health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, pet insurance if they have pet insurance, if they need it. Full transparency, I declined my pet insurance, and then that day my dog got bit by a snake. So I always recommend to take advantage of all the options. In addition to that, they'll also receive a 401k with a 50% company match that they can use. Their employment dates starts at their first date of employment with us, which would have been way back in January. So they also will be eligible for their first raise about a month after they accept their first job. So if they stay on our first shift, which is $17 an hour, like I said, they will be eligible for up to 88 cents an hour every 6 months. And if you want to do the math on that, that grows and grows and grows. If they do decide they want to take an off shift, which would be Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday night shift, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday night shift, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday day shift, those are also full-time positions, and they will be eligible for $20 an hour. But I know sometimes that's a little bit complicated, but they'll be offered to stay on first shift and then have the opportunity to move. You heard me mention earlier that Webstron is a national company. Because I love Albany and because I love these students, I want them to stay in Albany, but they are not required to. Webstron allows you to transfer within our district anywhere that you want to go. So this opportunity also gives them the opportunity to see different parts of our country and hopefully come right back home. But that is the goal. We also offer lots of opportunity for advancement. So currently, right now, just for example, when they come in, once they've been in their role for 6 months, they'll be eligible to apply for different positions within our warehouse. So a lot of them right now are trained on packing and consolidation for the products that we order, or the products that are ordered that we ship out. If they wanted to expand their skill set and move into a different part of our warehouse, they're able to do that every 6 months. Obviously, the more you learn, the more you're able to grow, the more we would like to retain you, and you're able to move up into leadership positions like team leads, assistant managers, managers. I want to brag specifically today, not just on the 6 students that we are retaining, but on one in particular. His name is Uriah. And when I first talked to Uriah, way back when we were doing his phone screen, he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do. So Dougherty comprehensive student. He wasn't sure he wanted to try out Webstron, and I encourage people to try it out. And then if you don't like it, at least you've seen, that you've done this. And so we brought him on. Uriah has been incredible. I want you guys to know we have a machine. We call it our CDP. It's essentially a robot that builds boxes that ships out our products. It is a multi-million-dollar investment that we have inside of our warehouse, and Uriah runs that machine. He has shown so much initiative. All of them have. They want to learn. They want to know everything that there is to know. So kudos to you guys for setting the tone, the leadership in the Dougherty County school system that carries over into the leadership within the schools, that trickles down to their teachers, that trickles down to these students, that gives them the drive and the initiative to move them forward into these roles. It really is a life-changing opportunity. That was one of the things we told them when they came in, was that this was not a job, but that this was a career opportunity. And so many of them have taken full advantage of that. So I wanted to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to grow your students and for allowing us to have these incredible team members now on our team. I also wanted to personally invite you guys to a signing day, and all of you, to a signing day that we're having for them on May the 12th. I think a lot of times we have students who work really hard at athletics and they get signing days, or they work really hard at, different things where, they're planning their futures. But entering the workforce is a huge accomplishment as well, especially under the conditions that these students did. So they came in, they proved themselves, they met their goals, and we would like to celebrate them in the same way that other students have been celebrated for their accomplishments as well. So on May the 12th at 2 o'clock at Webstron, which is at 1520 Mitchell Avenue, I sent you guys have a graphic, so they can spread that to you guys, so you'll have it. But we'll be honoring them in the form of a signing day. We're gonna set it up just like an athletic signing day, where they have a hat that they'll put on, they'll have a t-shirt, a whole big thing. The media will be there just to celebrate this huge accomplishment for them. Just to add a different layer of this for you guys, so you can know how incredible this is. As the recruitment manager at Webstront currently right now, I have 3,812 resumes in my file for people who would love to be sitting in the position that these students are sitting in, for people who would love to have this opportunity that these students are being given. But because they have been prepared so well before they ever got to me, these students are the ones who had this opportunity. So I did have the option to fill these positions with people in our community, and we chose to fill it with these students. So thank you guys for preparing them so well for their future, and we're looking forward to having them on our team, not just temporarily, but full-time. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. We appreciate
Madam
it.
Chair, Madam Chair.
Wait, let me get Mr. Dyer to stop the ceiling from leaking. 'Cause I'm sure that's what the problem is. It's not my eyes.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Heath.
I do have a question.
Oh, awesome.
Since these are students, they're young, this is their first real employment, do you have in place a financial management plan or class or something that they can go through so that they are taught to save their money?
So we do have several,
I was also going to answer the question if I may, Madam Chair.
Can you, Ms. Dr. Smith, can you come to the mic?
We are actually going to be working with them to set that up. We have someone in district walk them through their 401k and explain to them what that means and how to set up savings. But they're also going to do some things that look smart. So that's all.
So because Webstront is such a large national company, we have so many people that this is their first job. You know, like I said, we don't really hire based on experience or based on, certifications or anything like that. And that is, something that we recognized a need for long before I ever came in.
Okay.
So we have several programs actually online that they can take advantage of. We have I call it like our in-house internet. It's called Clark iNet. So we're owned by a company called Clark Associates. They have a program that definitely sets all of our team members up for success, not just financially, but we also have health and wellness. They prioritize personal health, financial health, mental health. One thing that I did fail to mention earlier is all of our employees also have access for free to EAP services, which would allow these students, which are soon to be young adults, I've got to stop calling them students because they're about to be team members, but these team members will also have access to monthly therapy sessions available to them through our EAP services at no charge to them, in addition to our health and wellness program, which is called Vitality, which allows them to, if they track their steps, they're automatically entered into some raffles. So we do a lot to promote our employee experience, and part of that is making sure they're set up for financial success, emotional wellness, health and wellness. All of those things are major priorities, not just getting the job done, which is important, but not the whole goal. Anybody else have any questions?
Ms. Strouter.
I have a comment. Thank you so much. And thanks for, thank you to Webstront for just being willing to invest in a community and not just come in and, keep themselves separate. So that's awesome. Also, because you're so hands-on in recruitment, I know that there might be opportunity for you to work with the schools and closely on just like, hey, here's some interview tips. Here's some things that you could, these are some things I've seen on an application that you don't want to put on an application. Things like that. So just anything that you can, I think there's always opportunity. And one thing I talk about a lot is these are our kids as a community. And if you see something from a workforce perspective that isn't recognized just from, a classroom perspective, because they don't get to see that side of the student, don't be afraid to speak into that, so it takes a village. So yeah.
Right, it does. And I know a lot of you know me professionally, but for the people that know me personally, it's not a shock to hear me say that all the children are my children. And so my background is in foster care and child advocacy. So definitely all the children are my children, and my goal is to see them all succeed. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I did want to tell you guys that we are planning to do this again next year. With the same parameters. This time what they did was they came in and they worked Monday through Thursday. In the fall, what we'd like to do is start the screening process a little bit sooner, maybe be able to bring in a few more kids and allow them to work Monday through Friday so that they can see our fourth shift as well, because our first shift is Monday through Thursday and our fourth shift is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that will allow them maybe a little bit of a more expanded view so that when they come to the end of their work-based learning time, they'll be able to see, like, do I want to work first shift or fourth shift? Because that is something that I think a little bit of hesitancy we've seen is that they're really comfortable on first shift. And that extra pay increase may not be worth it to them because they like where they are. So we thought maybe expanding them a little bit to let them see fourth shift might let them see a little bit of the different opportunities and the different workload on different shifts. So we are excited to do this again next year. So, anybody else have questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Dr. Hand?
One question.
Yeah.
Does this go through the counselors at each of the high schools for the students to know?
So my direct communication has been with Cheryl. And I believe that Cheryl did reach out to the counselors at each one of the high schools with the parameters that we were seeking, which were we wanted second semester seniors who were 18. They have to be 18 to operate forklifts. And so that was one of the things that we had. You know, those were the parameters that we gave, and then the counselors in each school identified those children, who then cascaded that up to Cheryl. And then we provided a private link for Dougherty County School System students to apply on, and that's kind of how that.
Okay, and Mr. Dyer, could we have Rhonda to send this out so?
It's already planned.
So we'll
Yes, ma'am. It's in my presentation, and we already have the email
Thank you.
scheduled to go out after the meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. And we'd love, like I said, for all of you guys to join us on the 12th, their parents, any teachers who have been influential in their lives and in their role. We want them to feel as celebrated as possible because they have definitely earned the right to be celebrated.
Thank you, Jay. We appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Of course. Thank
for
you guys.
always serving
Y'all have
our
a great day.
community.
Of course.
Okay, Mr. Dyer.
All right.
I'm
Yes,
gonna try
ma'am.
for the third time. Are you ready for your
Yes,
report?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is this one on?
All right. Well, so a report. I don't know. It's showing online, so that's why I'm still doing it. But I'll probably do more of it. I'll send it out to you so you can see it.
Please.
Of course, our vision in the Dougherty County school system is we're a destination school system that, in collaboration with families and community partners, provides quality and educational development experiences that empowers graduates to be successful and impactful contributors to society. And our mission is to meet the academic and non-academic needs of our students with rigorous and relevant educational experiences that equip them to succeed in life. Today we have policy revision updates. We've already had those from Dr. Finley. We'll go a little quickly on our strategic plan updates and our legislative session recap, and then celebrations and announcements. Of course, our strategic plan, our priorities are early literacy, academic rigor and relevance, student wellness, investment in human capital, and family and community engagement. Looking at our strategic priority number 2, we, as it said, that he who starts behind in the great race of life will forever remain behind unless they run faster than the person ahead. And we take that seriously here, and we understand the challenges that we have in our community. We don't take those as excuses. We use it as motivation. And recently, matter of fact, yesterday, we had to present to get our charter renewed. You know, our renewal for the charter with Godot is a contract, 5-year contract, and we have to demonstrate growth in order to maintain the flexibility that we get. As I mentioned earlier, we're a charter system. That's why our policy revision process is so important, because we're not bound by many parts of state law. So our policies are our laws. And so part of that presentation, we had to look at and you know, we traditionally have been behind the state average in a lot of our content areas. And we inherited that, and so we're looking to close those gaps. And so during the presentation that we made yesterday, we presented some data that overall our content mastery in elementary outpaced state during the time of our contract from 2022 to 2025 by 8.6 points. Middle school overall was 3.9. High school was 11.7 points. In ELA, it was in elementary 7.10. How we outgrew the state. All right. Middle school was relatively flat at just 1/10 of a point more than the state average over that period of time. But high school was at 6 3/4. Math was almost 8 points in elementary, 6.8 points in middle school, and 18.5 points in high school. Literacy, 11.5 points in elementary, 4.10 points in middle school, and 6 points in high school. So in every measurable area, we outpaced the state, and in every area except one is significantly. One was relatively flat, and so the board we have presented to the flexibility committee of the State Board of Education, and we received some positive comments about our innovation and flexibility that we exhibit here, and for the measurable growth that we've seen across the board between the Dougherty County school system, as you close the gap between the Dougherty County school system average and the state average. So, with that said, I got we will move to the consent agenda. So we went to the state board with no debate, and it was approved this morning. So we have just approved for another 5-year contract for our charter flexibility. So I want to thank our team. Of course, Dr. Faison works as a consultant to help us with that. But we have local school governance teams, and we've had 2 of them be named state local school governance teams of the year. And so we had a panel that we had to present to a committee of the Georgia Department of Education before we were considered for by the board, rather. And so we had about 12 people on that committee, including school system personnel, members from our local school governance team, and members from our community to present our evidence to that group. They made a recommendation to the committee. The committee saw fit to make a recommendation to the board, and because the data we presented was so overwhelming, it was presented for no debate, just on the consent agenda. So that's a powerful statement to the work that the school system is doing and the leadership that this board has exhibited in terms of governance. So thank you again for that, and it's worth celebrating. Thank you. Also, our relevance piece in terms of our strategic plan, the accelerated career diploma option. As you know, that's our Connected to Careers initiative, where it provides job skills training opportunities and workforce credential opportunities for students who have decided early on that they want to go to the workforce and not go to a traditional 4-year program. And so our participation in that program has grown from 26 in 2020, the school year 2023, to 48 in 2024, to 52 in 2025, and this year we have 84 students participating in that, where they'll be able to graduate early with workforce credentials in addition to the high school diploma. And so we're really excited about that, looking forward to the growth of that program as we move forward. And that's the relevance piece that we talk about. Now, I do have some pictures of some of our students in the element. You can't see them, but they're online, but we'll share the presentation with you. And also a list of our partners who work with our Accelerated Career Program and our work-based learning: Phoebe Putnam, NEOS, Procter & Gamble, Metro Power, You Save It, LRA Constructors, Oxford Construction, Safe Air, Marine Corps Logistics Base, Thresher Aircraft, Outdoor Network, and of course Webster Rock, and Concord Enterprises, Diamond Door Productions, Industrial Manufacturing, Pelicano Construction, Winfield Park, Health and Rehabilitation for our CNAs, and Southern Point Staffing. Those are just some of the partners that we have, the employees that we have in the community that work with us, providing work-based learning opportunities and internships, paid internships for our students. So we want to thank them for that. It does indeed take a village, and we are glad to have them as part of our village. Next strategic priority is priority number 3, student wellness. And of course, when I read the mission statement earlier, we talk about meeting the academic and non-academic needs of our students. And so the non-academic needs are important. People know the academic needs are important, but the non-academic needs, particularly in communities where the poverty rate is so high, and 67% of the students that we have that we serve in the Dougherty County school system come from families that get government assistance. Okay, we had that conversation before. Not to just keep saying that, but to put things in context. And I think this is better presented when you can see it for folks in the audience. So I'm going to skip through some of the slides, and we'll come back. We'll circle back and present the slides when the technology is working with us. But of course, we ask, of course, what are some of the non-academic barriers our students face? And a lack of access to health care, whether it's medical, dental, vision, mental, food insecurity, homelessness, and the root of all that is poverty. And so this board asks two questions. Are we creating conditions in which students can learn, because those non-academic barriers can prevent a student from being able to learn? And then are we willing to address those non-academic barriers that impact students impact student learning? So again, in 2013, we opened our first school-based health center with partnership with Albany Area Primary Health Care, where students get to get seen by medical professionals inside the school. Parents don't have to take off work and choose not to get paid if they don't have paid time off. Since 2013, we've added 7 more. We have a total of 8 school-based health centers. Then we have the highest number per capita of any school system in the state of Georgia. And since opening, we've served 69,727 patients, clients in our school-based medical centers. 2 years later, we opened our first dental center. We now have 2 dental centers. And since we opened, we've served 6,574 patients, students in our dental center, school-based, and they all do this at school. Then we opened up our first vision center, school-based vision center. Sometimes we think kids can't learn, and they really just can't see the board. And so we have a vision center that we have at Alice Coachman Elementary School. And since we opened that about 4 years ago, we've had 6,333 visits. And that includes eye exams, free eyeglasses if they need those, fittings. They get to pick them out just like you would at the eye doctor. So 6,333 visits at our school-based vision center. And I have a sheet that we track with Albany Area Primary Health Care, who provide the services for those centers as part of their federally qualified health center status. But you can see from 2013, we opened our first center through February of 2026, which is where the latest data that we have that I just mentioned. It's a spreadsheet that shows every year how the visits have grown, and so the need is there. We're meeting the need, and we'll show some data later that shows some of the schools. Matter of fact, the schools that we presented, Mr. Davis gave data on it. We presented them with the Corner of Excellence Award. Turner has a health center, a dental center. Robert Harvey has a health center. Alice Coachman has the vision center and health center. So that's anecdotal data, but I don't think it's a coincidence that those services are provided at those schools, the other supports provided at those schools, and those students are excelling, like we demonstrated they were excelling a while at a previous meeting. Of course, we also looked at the state of mental health, student mental health, which is an annual survey that comes out. And one of the recent surveys suggested that suicide is the number 2 cause of death between people 10 to 19 years of age. And that 3,700 suicide attempts are made every day by high school students across the country. 2.5 million youth in the U.S. have severe depression issues. That's about the same number of students that attend public schools in the state of Florida. And so, of course, this board asked me to look at what did that mean for Dougherty County. So we administered the PHQ-8 screener and realized that 24% of our middle and high school students who took the assessment came back moderately to severely depressed. And so, shocking, but when you look at the national data, it's not surprising. We're on par with national data there. And so we entered a partnership with Albany Area Primary Health Care, Family Fidelity Healthcare Group. We applied for and received a $15 million school-based mental health grant that we provide social workers, additional student support professionals, and we provide mental health counseling from licensed professionals at no cost to the families of those students that are assessed, were assessed to be at least moderately depressed. We also sought, and that was for middle and high school students, we also sought and received another $4 million competitive grant for Project Prevent, and that's to provide behavioral intervention and restorative practices for elementary school students. So Project Prevent is for our elementary school students, our school-based mental health services for the licensed therapy is for our middle and high school students. And again, every school system doesn't have the need for this, but we do. And we don't take that lightly, and we could easily make excuses and say, well, we don't have the state to provide resources for it. The board won't let me do that. They say if it's an issue and we don't have funding for it, find a solution. And I appreciate that challenging us, and we gladly do it. Okay. Also, our food insecurity rate is twice the national average, almost 1.5 times the food insecurity rate at the state of Georgia, and we entered a partnership with Helping Hands organization. Helping Hands, Ending Hunger, Kids Helping Kids. And I have some graphics that will kind of show how this program works a little better, but it's our kids, they serve as captains, and they take the unused food, whole fruit, beverages that are unopened, whole fruit, and volunteers come package those foods up in refrigerated containers, bags, and we give them to families so they have food to eat on the weekend. And so those are some things that we do, and that people don't know about. But it's directly aligned with our student wellness priority of our strategic plan. And since we started, had over 40 bags go out, impacting based on the size of the families, over 97,000 children in their families. Those are duplicated head counts. And then finally, our wraparound support center. And I know I'm going kind of fast. We had a lengthy meeting, but I think it's worth sharing. You know, I always give a recap at the end, toward the end of the year on our strategic plan updates. We purchased a former school on the old Lincoln complex. Provide a one-stop shop through our Family Resource and Support Center. So we have partners, Auburn Family Literacy Connection, Phoebe, the Network of Trust, other partners there. So when families, adult family members of our families have challenges, they go to that center to find out where they can get support. If they can't get it directly in that building, we refer them to where they can get the support, make the phone call, set the appointments up so they can go without getting a runaround or getting frustrated. And so those are some of the things that we do, and that's through our Family Community Engagement Department and our Wraparound Support Department in particular. Strategic priority number 5, of course, is Family Community Engagement. Our Villa program got off to a great start. We hit a lull this year, but we already have the schedule for next year, 2 sessions, and we're also going to invite the graduates of our Villa program to our Teacher of the Year and Employee Awards banquet, so to keep them engaged with what we're doing in the school system. And then Level Up, the program that provides for upskilling and reskilling of our parents and adult family members of our students. As I mentioned before, 67% of the students that we serve come from families that get government assistance. When I work with the Albany Chamber of Commerce and Albany Dougherty Economic Development Commission on the Workforce Strategic Plan, we talked about the jobs that we leave on the table because our citizens don't have some of the skill sets needed to fill those jobs. And we saw a great opportunity there as a school system to meet 2 needs: workforce needs and then empowerment opportunities for our families. So what we did was we engaged with organizations who provide job skills training in high demand career areas, certified nursing assistant, heavy equipment operations, and this year we're going to launch construction. Provide them with job skills training. They get credentialed in those particular areas, and it qualifies them for jobs in the career fields where they pay a living wage, get benefits, and can literally change the trajectory of their family's financial future. And so since the time we launched that program, we provide training for over 250 adult family members of DCSS students to be able to change their lives in a positive way. We want to thank our partners. I have a slide with all the partners up there, so I'm not going to name all of them. There are a lot, but from providing transportation for those that don't have transportation, to providing childcare services while the parents are in class. All those things had to be done to ensure success of this program, because they had those barriers that would have prevented them from being able to participate. So we removed those barriers by providing transportation, child care, and when they graduated, they got scrubs on the free of charge for the CNA students, work boots, seal-toe boots for our construction and heavy equipment operation students, and it's been a wonderful program. And we just had our most recent graduation program in heavy equipment operations last week, last Thursday, I think it was. So we certainly are excited about continuing that program. Even though the grant funding that we received for that has run out, we've engaged with other partners who are going to continue moving forward with us and continue impacting families and the ability to work themselves out of poverty, or if they just want to change in career and provide better career opportunities and stable environment for them at home. I slipped through. I have pictures I was going to provide, but since you can't see them, I just slipped. I passed through them. Legislative updates. I know we're getting close to quitting time. So our legislative priorities: expansion of early learning opportunities. Of course, we've almost doubled our pre-K capacity for the time we began this 8 years ago. That's been the number one legislative priority for this board since 2017, and it took some time, but we eventually able to almost double the number of students that we serve, the classes that we offer in pre-K, to the point we had to open another building, and I'm looking forward to the day we need a third. So we're looking for that. Of course, adding the QBE poverty weight to QBE was a priority. Providing support from the state for our health benefit plan for our non-certified employees. As you know, those costs have gone up significantly, more than doubled over the last 6 years. And then our teacher pipeline issues. Those are our priorities. We'll go swiftly through some of those. The poverty weight to QBE, that never made it out of committee. We do appreciate Representative Gerald Green and Senator Freddie Power Sims for sponsoring those bills in their respective chambers, and the fight continues for that, because there certainly is a need, and we'll discuss that need a little later. The homestead property tax bills, House Resolution 1114, and the enabling legislation, House Bill 1116, to provide homestead property tax relief by collecting a local sales tax and offsetting that with offsetting homestead property taxes with that 1 cent that was collected. It would have taken effect January 1st if a constitutional amendment had passed in November. That passed out of the House. It failed to pass the Senate on sine die, so it did not pass. There was a substitute bill, I call it a substitute bill, that was introduced, Senate Bill 33, that started out as a bill regarding hemp. That language was struck from the bill in its entirety, and they replaced it with language to provide property tax relief. That was because, as a hemp bill, they had already passed one house and it had gone through crossover day. That's one of the fallacies, is that you can have a bill and you can just strip everything from it, replace it with something that's completely unrelated. Because it passed crossover, it can still be considered. It did pass, and it provides for homestead property tax relief for that by collecting that 1 penny. It has some other things that it does as well. There's a constitutional challenge to that, because all tax bills, the laws should originate from the House. Since this was in the Senate, originated in the Senate, then there's a question about its constitutionality. That's above my constitutional law knowledge. So I'll let the people who know more about that fight that out, and we'll deal with it however it comes. But because it started out as a hemp bill, they're saying it doesn't count. So we'll see how that goes. One thing that is, and I'm not going to get into the debate about whether or not It's the sales tax is a regressive tax. I'm not going to get in that debate. That I know the folks in D.C. and the folks in Atlanta can have that debate, but since it passed, it excluded school systems, and in most communities, the school property tax is a significant portion of the total property tax bill. And I could not get a valid reason why they didn't include school systems, because it was not going to increase the tax, it was still going to just be 1 penny. And by not including school systems, we left $389 million of homestead property tax relief untapped. The amount of offset, the maximum offset by just including cities and counties across the state, the community that has the highest offset is about 46%. Their bill reduced by 46%, the total bill. If they had included school systems, you would have had 51 school systems that would have had at least 70% of their property taxes eliminated or reduced, and 15 of those would have had complete elimination of their homestead property taxes, just by including school systems in that bill. And by not including school systems, we leave that undone. Again, if it passes, I hope that it goes back and we reconsider adding school systems. And if it does not pass because it didn't start in the House, then if they introduce it again next year, I hope they add school systems to the bill then. The Early Literacy Act, I reference to one Literacy Act that was in 23 that caused us to buy the high quality instructional material. We have another one now, Georgia Literacy Act of 2026, and there's a few things. It requires full-day kindergarten, which we already provide. We have to have a unified literacy plan, which we're developing now. We still must approve the high quality instructional materials. It must be done every year now. It also provides not repurchasing, just approving, making sure we approve it. And one thing it does provide partially funds coaches to the tune of about $54,000 literacy coaches for all elementary schools that contain the grades K through 3. Now, literacy coach with salary and benefits probably costs us upwards of $85,000, $90,000. So for every new literacy coach we hire with this, it'll probably cost us about $30,000 to $40,000. Fortunately, we have literacy coaches in most of our schools, if not all of our schools, and so we can use this money to offset what we were already paying. And one thing we did, well, I told you the bill regarding poverty, adding the poverty weight to the funding formula it died in committee. And yes, ma'am. But you know, as this board tells us, there's always more than one way to get to Walmart, and so we try to get there another way. And so with the Literacy Act, I presented data. I had the opportunity to testify to the Ways and Means Committee of the Senate, the Georgia Senate, and I used information, state information, national information, but also information from the Governor's Office of Student Achievement website. And it says that research indicates student poverty is closely linked to student achievement. It is, but it does not have to be. Okay, and I do have a graphic that shows a scatter plot that shows the concentration of low achievement is more the higher your percentage of students whose family get government assistance goes up in a school. So poverty has an impact on students, individual students, and their student achievement, but also concentrated poverty has an impact on schools and school systems. And so just since you can't see this, there's another graph that shows that over an 8-year period, and this comes from the Governor's Office of Student Achievement, schools with concentrated poverty, their literacy rates at third grade are consistently below 20%. Schools without concentrated poverty, their rates are consistently above 60%, approaching 70%. There's a 55% gap consistently between students with high poverty and students with low poverty. That was over an 8-year period. And so that's why this board, and one of the issues with poverty is that they don't get access to early education. They don't pay for pre-K. They can't pay for daycare. So that's why we want the lottery funded pre-K so they can go for free. That's why we provide the wraparound supports that our students need to help break down those non-academic barriers that impede their ability to learn. And the data shows that that is the case. You've heard this before, and they, in the Senate Ways and Means Committee heard it as well from me. From the promised scholarship list, the bottom 25% of schools in terms of effectiveness in the state, 87% have at least half of their students that come from families that get government assistance. 87% of the schools on that list. That is not a coincidence. There's a direct tie between concentrated poverty and student achievement in terms of our schools. So what I did, I reminded them that students in poverty can learn. They just need more support, wraparound support. And Georgia remains, although we did have and I think Governor Kemp and the legislature for approving a pilot last year. The pilot provided 5% above base funding for 1 year. They did not get renewed this year. But the average for schools for states that provide additional funding is 22% above base funding. And so I mentioned when I spoke to them that the funding needs to be has to be sufficient, it has to be sustainable, and it has to be predictable. Sufficient to have the impact we want it to have, sustainable so we can carry it on year after year, and predictable in terms of a formula so we can project how much we're going to get in outlying years so we can plan for multiple years regarding the resources that we're supposed to have. But it didn't pass. They didn't go for it, but they're aware of it. And several asked me for the document that I provided at the committee, so I think we're going to get traction. Yes, ma'am. And at the current time, Georgia still remains one of only 6 states in the country. Yes, ma'am, I did. That does not provide additional weight for students in poverty in its funding formula. But we will continue to fight. And I also shared with them the data from 3 of our schools, and I have the graphics. Right. A strategic use of our reserves that the board has made. Strategic use of our reserve. Yes, ma'am. We provide additional funding for 3 schools that Alice Coachman Elementary School, Robert Harvey Elementary School, the Turner Elementary School that had all at one time been fairly identified, been in the bottom 5%, and Robert Harvey and Alice Coachman is currently identified, although I'm sure they'll be off this year based on their performance. And we showed that over a 4-year period from 2022 to 2025, that overall content mastery went up 15 points at Alice Coachman, 22 points at Robert Harvey, and 15 points at Turner. In terms of English, 11 points at Alice Coachman, 11.5 points at Robert Harvey, 13 points at Turner. Math, 16-point increase at Alice Coachman, 28-point increase at Robert Harvey, and an 18.8% increase at Turner. And then at literacy, that's why I presented it to the committee considering literacy. Over a 4-year period, 2022 to 2025, we saw a 32.25% increase in literacy rates at Alice Coachman, a 32.32% point increase at Robert Harvey, and a 48.95% point increase at Turner Elementary School. And so our intent was to show that not only is it theoretical that we provide resources, targeted resources and support is real, and we have data to show it. And I stressed that I did not want to come ask you for this without having proof that it works. So we provided resources to these schools, these 3 schools. But the challenge is we cannot do that for every school. We have 13 elementary schools. 10 of them have the same demographics as these students, as these schools right here. And we can't provide the resources to that level at all of our schools. And it doesn't make sense to provide just a little to everyone, because then you don't have the impact that you need to have. And so we're going to continue that argument. We're going to continue that advocacy work. It took us 6 years to get the expanded pre-K the way we wanted it. It may take us a little longer than a year or 2 to get the poverty weight, but we're not going to stop until we get it, because our students deserve that, and we're committed to making sure they get it. And just for those that don't know, we've written grants, millions of dollars in grants to help meet these wraparound support needs. That also help. We partner with community organizations to provide after-school support through grants they've received. But again, that's not sustainable because those grants can go away. We need a sustainable source of funding, and that's the key. I'm going to get off my soapbox on that one. I just want to make sure we said that as part of our legislative update, that we didn't see success on that in the form of terms of funding that materialized. But we're going to continue to work. I thought we saw success by making some people who were not aware. When we talk about the 67%, we talk about the 87% on the promised scholarship. We talk about Georgia being one of the 6 states that don't provide poverty weight. Some of the eyes light up in shock. So I think that resonated with a few people. So I think we'll get some traction moving forward in the future years. I'm return to work bill, House Senate Bill 150. That was on our legislative priority. That did get approved to allow retirees to come back to work after they sit out 1 year. I won't go into the details of that bill. I'm sure you know it. I have it in my report. And then the other piece that we did get a bill approved. We did get a House resolution approved. It's called the House Study Committee on Veteran Teacher Compensation. Again, part of our teacher pipeline was to teachers don't get steps after year 21. So our veteran teachers don't get step increases. So what are we saying to those veteran teachers? And so we advocated for extending the step increases to year 30. This proposal was to go to year 28, which I'm okay with that. And so they're on a study committee. It passed the House on March 12th. So they're doing a study committee to see the impact of that. So we expect some action on that next year. That's all I have in terms of my legislative updates, in terms of the status of the items that we were advocating for in the session. Any questions about any of those?
Any questions, Superintendent?
If not, we'll move on to our celebrations and announcements. Again, we have pictures up, and I'll share these with you. Had 2 students who signed scholarships, one from Andrew College to Andrew College for cross country, and one at Bruton Parker Christian University for wrestling. Those are both Dougherty High School students, Elijah Claude and Caleb Campbell. I want to recognize Raven Springs Elementary School, Robert Harvard Elementary School, Lincoln Elementary, Robert Lamar Reese Magnet School of the Arts, and Robert Cross Middle School for being named literacy leaders and math leaders by the Georgia Department of Education. The state school superintendent came down and made those presentations a couple of weeks ago, and I do have a graphic showing that. Trust me, it's there, but we'll share it. Then also being recognized by the Georgia Department of Education as our first military flagship school was Lake Park Elementary School, and that designation shows that the care and concern and support they provide for our military connected students and their families. We have Miss Athena Garvey. You've heard that name before, from Robert A. Cross Middle Magnet School. She presented at the Georgia Council for Social Studies State Fair, and she received the most intriguing primary source award for her project, Destruction and Devastation, the Economic Impact of Hurricane Melissa on Citizens of Jamaica. And then also Makara Devon of Dougherty High School she won in the class 4 category for her anthropology for how soul food preserves African American heritage. Again, April 19th through the 25th was National Library Week, and as part of that, they announced Librarians of the Year, Media Specialists of the Year, and our own Abigail Slattery from Northside Elementary School was named the 2026 Southwest Georgia Region Library and Media Specialist of the Year. So that's not just Dougherty County, but all of Southwest Georgia, and now she'll go and represent Southwest Georgia at the state level. I want to congratulate Miss Slattery. I think did she announce her retirement this year? I hope she did. Maybe I got to mix it up. I hope she didn't. She can't retire the year that she wins. I talk to her, she got to keep going. And then also a Farm Bureau High School Art Contest had 2 first place winners from Dougherty, a junior, Miss Walker, and a senior, Miss Jamia Hall. Today, Mr. Floyd Stevens was recognized by the Georgia Department of Education. He received the Georgia Award of Excellence. He was presented that today during this session. I was going to attend, but we had a board meeting, and I didn't think my bosses would want me to miss the meeting. So we sent a very capable group of district support folks for him, our special ed director, his principal, some of his teachers, and so this is a very this is one of the award programs they have at the state. It's in conjunction with the state board meeting. So he was presented that Georgia DOE Award of Excellence today, and we congratulate Mr. Stevens on that award. We also have our school resource officers and safety officers of the month that were presented. We had our National School Bus Appreciation Day. Was April 28th. This whole week has been that appreciation week, but April 28th was the day. We certainly appreciate our bus drivers. We can't teach our kids if they can't get to school. And most of them can't get to school if they don't have a bus. So we certainly appreciate them. National School Lunch Hero Day is May 1st, so that's Friday. Stop by a cafeteria and get some good food if you want to, because you got to pay for it, but that's all right. It doesn't cost a whole lot. $2.50. You can get the meal, a beverage, and a dessert. Where else can you get that in also, May 1st is Decision Day. So that's College Decision Day. So we're going to celebrate that on social media. All of those people who are making decisions about their going to college, if they go into college after they graduate, we ask them to use the hashtag DCSS Decision Day as a social media hashtag. We encourage that. Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. There's also our Teacher of the Year Banquet, Teacher of the Year, and Employee Awards Recognition Program. We'll send the email out for that. That's on May 7th. I believe. And then the last thing I had was our graphic, and it's there, Jay, signing day at Webster. And we have pictures of the students in there with a safety vest on. In the work element is a picture with all 6 of them there with signing day being held on May 12th at the Webster store 872. Right, and so we'll send that to you as well. Finally, our spring concert of the Dougherty County Youth Orchestra will be held May 12th. So after we leave May 12th, it's going to be at Albany State West Auditorium Theater, and so after we leave celebrating with Western and those students who will be team members at Western, we can go to Albany State and listen to some very good music from our Dougherty County Youth Orchestra, featuring the Dougherty High and Westover High School orchestras. And then innovation and creativity. Those are cornerstones of our charter system. And our second annual or third annual Innovative Teacher Summit? Third annual. And we had the first 2 is just for Dougherty County School System teachers. This one is going to be a regional summit. It's going to be hosted by Albany State, and we're going to have a nationally renowned author, Matt Miller, who is going to present the keynote. And we're inviting teachers from school systems across Southwest Georgia to participate to see how innovation and education can help meet the needs of our students. And then finally, I want to recognize the Georgia School Board Association and their 75th anniversary. They provide advocacy, support, professional development opportunities for board members and governance teams. And they had a celebration in Dougherty County for Region 2 and at the 4C Academy earlier this week. And Monday it was. And at that meeting, we heard from retiring Senator Freddie Powell Sims, who gave his words of encouragement. And of course, our own board chair, Ms. Poole, was reelected as the GSBA representative for Region 2. So congratulations again, Ms. Poole, and thank you for your leadership. That's a long report. I apologize for it, but it was good information, I think. We do have an executive session to discuss personnel if the board sees fit, and I do anticipate action after that. So there we are. But that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. And again, I appreciate you starting the end of the year report like you've always done with the strategic plan update and how we're going along. I know we hear it a lot, but we appreciate it. Dr. Hand.
Yes. Let me extend a warm congratulations and thank you, Reverend Mr. Dyer. You have done an outstanding job for us in Atlanta and here. But I want to personally tell you how much we really do appreciate you and thank you for all that you do for the Dougherty County School System. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, ma'am.
Madam
It's my
Chair, I would
pleasure.
like to also join,
Ms. Huntley.
Dr. Hand in congratulations to our superintendent on a job well done. Thank you so much, sir. The quality of your leadership is second to none.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dawes. Okay, next, anything else, Mr.?
No, ma'am.
Next, I would like to enter a motion to go into executive session for personnel and student matter.
Madam Chair, I submit that, motion to go into executive session at this time, please, ma'am.
It's been properly motioned and second to go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Ms. Frazier. We are now in executive session. Please take all your belongings with you. Thank you. again, welcome to the public, to the regular board meeting. We will call this board meeting to order. Please stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Please say a special prayer for the families in southeast Georgia, Brantley County especially, and their community, and our community also.
Man, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any public comments or presentation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda
So moved.
with the addendum?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to adopt the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The agenda is adopted. Do we have any changes to the meetings of regular board meeting April 13th? If not, can I get an entertaining motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second motion.
It's been properly moved and second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. The minutes are approved. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda for items 2, consider a recommendation, 3, release of personnel with the addendum. Some of those are for 2-2, correct?
Ma'am.
The addendum was just
It's 2A.
for 2A. 3, release of personnel with the addition. 4, consider a recommendation for approval proposal for Raven Springs Middle School. 5, consideration recommendation approval of the lighting at Monroe High. 6, consideration approval fundraising request. May I have a motion?
7.
So moved.
7, financial report for information.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda for items 2 through 7 with the addition of 2A and 3A.
Okay, it's been properly moved and she moved it. I need a second. It's been properly moved and second for the agenda consent. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The agenda is, consent agenda approved. Do we have any announcements, Mr. Superintendent, comments from the board members?
Just a reminder of the Teacher of the Year banquet on the 7th of May, and the signing date for Webster Rock employees on the 12th of May, and the Dougherty County Youth Orchestra spring concert on the 12th of May.
Okay,
You'll get emails on all of those.
board members, I will, on next meeting, we're looking for a delegate for the June conference. Please think about who's going. I know Ms. Rhonda has it, but we will have to send that name up by next week. Who would be our delegate? And again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to serve as the Region 2 Director. I thank you for your support. Looking forward to these next few years. Do we have any other business to address? Hearing none, I will now ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your service.